you should be documenting everything, which is part of the reason why I got the Osmo 360. So there's several reasons why you should be documenting everything, and why personally for me, I think the Osmo 360 is the best option for that. Not only does it allow me to document everything, but also because of what it's capable of as far as having 10-bit, it's 360, you can do 360 or single lens. It allows me to create a lot of different content, and also allows me to use it for some of my professional work as well, because it has a little bit more latitude with color, bigger sensor, and just overall a better image. Shooting in D-Log, 10-bit, 8K24. I think this is the wide. What are we looking at here? Yeah, I went with the Osmo 360 for a couple reasons. Speed and efficiency being the most important one. And so what I mean by that is that I can set this and forget it. Because it's 360, I'm capturing everything all at once. I'm not changing lenses. It's 10-bit. I know I'm getting good color. I can hook this up to my DJI mic, so I know I'm going to get good audio. And I can just let this run all day for BTS. It's quick and easy. Same reason you use a zoom lens on a shoot. You don't know what you're getting into and you want one lens to get everything done. You just want to have it and set it, forget it, and not have to constantly switch things out, and be able to get the job done quickly and efficiently and know you're going to get the results you need. So why should you document everything? Well, first of all, is if you need it for reference. I will put this on my camera or wherever I have a shoot or project, and I will let it run, because then I always have it to go back to if I'm referring to that project later on, if I need to see what my lighting was or what our setup was. Perfect example is we shot at McLaren about 2 months ago, and I let this run in each section that we did different scenes. Why? Well, now I have that content, so when we potentially go back next year, I can refer to that imagery and pull up and do screen grabs of each room, or if I'm like, oh, what was the overhead light that we used? I can pull up those screen grabs, pull up that video, I can play it through, I can see exactly what we did, I can do screen grabs, and I can reference that to the client for the next time around, or to the crew for the next time around. Like, hey, we did this last time, let's tweak it a little bit, something different, or this is the room we're shooting in when we go back this time. Let's put something here, 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 and here, and I can use this footage and show them all that, which additionally helps me improve upon what I'm doing as a DP and cinematographer. I don't think this is the best camera at any specific thing, but I think it's a very good camera at a lot of different things. I've been looking for something small, pocketable, that I can use as kind of a BTS camera that still looks good. Obviously I have my phone, but then I'm gonna pull my phone out, and then if I'm tweaking the lighting on a scene, like just for today, I was shooting some BTS and I was showing the lighting setup of what I did, but I couldn't tweak the lights because I used my phone to adjust the lights, and I was using my phone to film, so it kind of counteracts itself. So I went with this. I could have gone with an action camera, could have gone with something bigger, could have gone with the new Osmo camera that just came out, that just kind of clips onto your shirt, which is cool. I like that, that's great, and that fits perfectly. But this allows me to do a lot of different things in one. It's not the best action camera, I don't think. It's not the best small compact BTS camera, I don't think. It's a great 360 camera, arguably the best one out currently. When you compare it to like the Insta360X5, I think is the other one. And they kind of go head to head in a lot of different categories. There's some pros that the Insta360 has that the Osmo doesn't have, like interchangeable lenses, and I know some people prefer the color or the nighttime mode and all kinds of stuff like that in the Insta360X compared to the Osmo. Another big factor for this for me was that it just easily ties into the mic, so I don't have to put in a separate thing. I know you can get separate mics and all that kind of stuff, but this is just all one ecosystem, and it just makes sense for me. And the 10-bit is a big selling point, and just the new sensor size that they have for this allows me to get more out of this system. So overall, I think it's the best choice. And it came a day early, which is great. So I'm gonna pop this on the side of the camera somewhere to kind of see how that works in. But I think this is gonna be great because I'm gonna be able to just let this run in the background as I do a lot of different stuff, and then I can break that down and create content out of it for future videos. So the next thing is simply creating content. Speed is the name of the game, and keeping things nimble and moving quick is what's gonna separate you in the future. And also, having a brand presence, having a personal brand presence. I know a lot of people who get a lot of work, not because their work is great, and I'm not saying it's bad, but it's because they have a brand presence. Clients can identify with them. They're creating content. They look very busy. And building a relationship, building a rapport with your clients is what's going to create a relationship or maintain a relationship and separate you from somebody else. So if you're creating content, doing BTS of how you broke down a certain project, how you shot a certain project, or just what you're doing this week, it not only shows you're busy, but it shows that you know what you're doing. The client can see that and be like, oh, perfect, I have confidence they can do this X, Y, and Z because they did this over here, A, B, C, and that's similar to what I want to do. Whether that's YouTube, social, anything like that, that's why you should be creating content. Also, this allows you to build a relationship with clients before you even meet them. This can make a huge difference. So I haven't gotten a action camera, so to speak, in a long time. I think the last one I had was like the GoPro 3 or 4. I just never use them. They're great. There's a lot of capability to them. And this light is blowing out my face. So we'll see how that turns out in post. It's pretty bright. Actually, I take that back. I think I use like the 6 through the 8 at work. Maybe the 10 or the 11. I don't even, what are we on, 13 now? I don't even know. But I just don't do that kind of stuff a lot. Anything that requires an action camera. So it just wasn't a worthwhile investment to me. This is actually mounted to a C-stand that's hanging above my head, which is probably not the best place to hang a C-stand. Just on a small rig arm, which is convenient. Didn't really use them a lot for the stuff I do. And like I said, I didn't like the colors. To me, I would just rather put a small mirrorless camera on something and make something work. The problem with these cameras is they just change so quickly. There's a new one out every year, and I feel like they've never been really good enough at a point where I thought it was worth the investment. So it did make sense to buy one because every year they were substantially better than the year before, and it was just never quite good enough because I felt like I would just have to continuously update it every year. Which is not something I wanted to do. I want a piece of kit that is going to last me at least a few years and be very useful. So if I have to upgrade it constantly every year because it's just not good enough, then it's not worth me getting. I mean, perfect example is I still shoot a lot of stuff on the Pocket 6K Pro. Same with the Fuji X-H2S, which is what I'm using for tomorrow. But I feel like with this, and even with the X5 is still a great camera, and the Action 5, and even the newest GoPro, I feel like they're now at a point where they will give you a little bit of life. They'll last you more than a year or two, and you'll be able to get content out of them for a little while. I mean, granted, you can always do that. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to sacrifice and how, I guess, picky you are. This is, again, weirdly lit, getting blown out here by this light. It should be on auto exposure. I just finished unloading from a food shoot that I did today. Actually, cocktails. We didn't even do food. Cocktails for the season, for an upcoming theater. They do a cocktail with every show that they come out over the course of the year. So we went and shot like 5-6 different cocktails. Not the best place to shoot it, but I mean, you could really say about that anything. It's just a matter of making something work. Luckily, I had a little more time to make something work today than I did last time, so I think I put something decently together, and I'll show some of the footage and the BTS from that. So for that, I ran 2 cameras. I ran the Pocket 6K just as a standalone camera, X-H2S on a slider and some handheld for the first one. Lit it up, did a big key light, and then a little bit of fill on the other side. Did kind of a hair light, all with the zoom kit, which is very convenient. I'm really loving that workflow of just setting all those up and just remoting in from my phone. Of course, again, you can do that with just about any kit nowadays. Nanlite, Aperture, all of them have that. Zhun has it. But again, I've talked about Zhun plenty of times. I love the compact kit that is, especially as a one-man band. I have one Pelican that I put all my lights in, haul it in there, and I just start setting them up. It's convenient, quick, easy, 500 watt, 300 watt, 60 watt. I have the 100 watt. I didn't use the 100 watt just because it's the CX series, so it's not Bluetooth. The other ones are. It balanced it. It was on auto. It balanced it at 5,000, which I guess makes sense. It's trying to mix, but this is at 56. That is probably like 33,000, 3,200, 3,400 Kelvin. This key light is at 56. So I guess that makes sense. But so I switched it to 56, and it still looks very bland, and the exposure seems a little bit too high. But it is what it is. I think tomorrow's going to be a good test to see if I'm going to hang on to this thing or not. I'd like to. I plan to. That's the goal. I think I will. So now the only thing left to do is dump all the footage from today so that I can use those cards again tomorrow, double backup onto my editing drive and to the server. I was supposed to have a shoot Sunday too, but I pushed it back a week for other reasons, but I'm not too upset about it now because it would have been a lot. 3 days back to back to back. And that third shoot, that one, it's like 25 people, full day office, the high-speed one, everything like that. I kind of wanted to see what this looked like in this office. All right, so I just did a poolside shoot for a product, and I used the DJI 360 Go as kind of like a BTS, and I'll show you kind of where I mounted it. I don't know if that's the best location, but I don't know if there is a ideal location for this. It's 360, which is nice, so I can reframe it however I want to, but I don't really want to mount it on top of the camera because then that just adds unnecessary height, and it just doesn't look good. Where I had it kind of in front of the monitor was nice because it was out of frame, or not out of frame, it was just not obvious that I was shooting behind the scenes. Nobody noticed, nobody asked any questions. They probably just thought it was part of my regular setup, which is good. That's what I want. I don't want people to notice it and then act differently or talk differently or tell me to shut it off or anything like that. So I like that as far as placement goes, but it was kind of awkward because almost underneath the camera, so you can't really see the gimbal. Ideally it would be kind of behind camera. So far, really like it. I'm using the in-camera audio now because I left the lavs, the DJI lavs in the back. I don't have those, so this is just in-camera audio. So curious how this sounds in the car with AC blasting. I think this is going to be better than the Insta360 Go, which is what I was contemplating, because it's smaller, it's a little more inconspicuous, and kind of I can magnetize it and put it anywhere. But I'm limited to a 180-degree view. So if I want to see something else, I have to remember to change the camera angle or I'll miss it or anything like that. And so if I want to see operator view and also the view of the operator, I can't do that without swapping it in between takes. Whereas with this, I have basically 2 takes that I can cut from both sides, which is nice. Whoa. And as I've just arrived in San Diego and started working on another project, I just wanted to wrap this one up. And the other big thing with this is the fact that you can do a lot of dynamic shots with a 360 camera. Because I don't have to constantly man this camera, if I attach this anywhere, I now have a whip, pan, overhead, flip, zoom, anything like that. I can do all that in post. So I don't have to be manning the camera, and I can still get a quality shot to use for smaller budget projects just using this camera. And I don't have to physically man it in order to do any kind of dynamic movement or use any kind of transition effects. I have all that here in post. So now GoPro has released their 360 camera, which has replaceable lenses, which is nice. And that's kind of the one thing I have an issue with this camera, is because I got these little lens covers that are supposed to protect them. Now these, I didn't get these directly from DJI. These were an off-brand off Amazon. But you can see, just looking at it right now, you see what it looks like. You got the lights and everything behind me, and then once I put this over the lens, it is a little bit dirty, but still, it just completely distorts it. It gets really foggy, hazy, it's not clean, and then it really messes with the lighting. Let me clean it just a little bit. But still, not great. They're cheap, they're plastic. This camera just has spots where you're supposed to attach these, so it's built for this, and they did this intentionally. So that's a little bit better, but you can still see the quality drop. It's just not as clear with these little plastic covers on. And I've already rubbed this and caused some kind of mark on the front. And it's just been sitting in the case, really, so I haven't put it through any wear. But yeah, other than that, I think this is a great addition to the kit, and being able to use it in any size production for different purposes along the way. I think it's going to be very, and especially now, because I can do this, I don't have to have my full camera set up. I just have this little thing I can pop up here and do these while I'm on trip. I didn't even bring a camera except for the 5 or 6 Fuji GFXs that we're shooting. But yeah, so I'm going to be using this a lot more now.